welcome back to Boxcar's Garage. As advertised, I'm back on the Model A, still messing with those projects that can drive you insane. For this video, I'm going to be messing with the doors and trying to get the body beads to line up. So going into this, you can see I've got, I don't know, maybe an 1/8 of an inch adjustment here at this belt line. Typically you would influence the door and how it's, you know, situated by installing shims or removing shims that may be underneath the A pillar or the B pillar, and then also, you know, the tension of the bolts securing the subfloor down at those locations. I was trying to maintain an 1/8 of an inch gap between the bottom of the subfloor and the top of the frame rails and not go over that or under that. So I just wanted to keep that as the standard throughout. I decided that maybe playing with the hinges could get me there. So I ended up flipping my hinges from one side to the other, and looking back on it, I probably only really needed to flip the top ones. It's resting on the top of the block side of this hinge right now. So that would be that it's carrying the weight, it's going to wear there, and that could be a wear point that I am asserting could influence, if it has enough wear on it, it could influence the positioning of this door. The other hinges right now in the closed positions don't really seem to be hanging a lot of weight on the particular hinge. They're really just providing alignment. But that could change in the swing of the door. They could have, the contact points could change throughout the swing, and the weight could stay on one hinge, it could bounce between all three. If I have hinges that are worn down, could they influence my door? I thought that they probably could. So that's why I flipped them from one side to the other and bolted them back in. I believe that I did achieve a desired effect by raising up both of the doors about a 1/16 of an inch or better, which was a direction that I needed to go. And then I got into a situation where I believed that the gap between my door and my A-pillar wasn't enough. In fact, on the passenger side, there was like no gap at all. This gap right here in between my my door and my A-pillar is just way too tight. And it's just, they're just rubbing on each other. There is no clearance at all. But right now, I can't even get the tip of this in between there, and that's a pretty fine tip that I'm trying to get in there. So it needs to come out. I need about an 1/8 of an inch. Uh-oh. So I got them all cut out and dressed them up a little bit. My accuracy is not at the level that I wish it was this evening, but this ought to be enough to validate, you know, if pulling those blocks out is going to solve the gap issue on the door. Okay, so this is what we ended up with. Not too bad. Not too bad. If that was painted, it would be hard to notice, I think. Anywho. Okay, so with I'm going to call it the thickness of the shim that I ended up making was about 3/32. And that 3/32 inch shim, it definitely did the trick. Maybe a little bit too much. Right now, I believe I'm setting at about 1/8 of an inch gap between that A-pillar and the door. And if you look over on the driver's side, I believe you're looking at about a 1/16 here. And it's consistent all the way down. And that's, of course, with no shim involved on the driver's side. I think that if 1/8 ends up being too much, I could just go back and I could probably achieve my desired result with those 1/16 inch shims that I was playing around with earlier. After an initial check of the shims, I realized I needed one more thin one for the middle hinge location, and I applied that and it got a lot better. Okay, so I went ahead and put in one of those earlier shims, 1/16 of an inch, or roundabout. Still got to tap it in, but it's pretty close now. I think I can make that work. I'll probably end up dressing up the edges of those shims at another time. But anyway, opted not to heat up and mess with this part of the hinge. If you happen to know anything as far as these being available, I believe these are hard to find, and I don't believe anybody's making them yet. They're cast, and I didn't want to heat it up and try to go beating on it because I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's in the cars much more than I am, and he told me, he said, you don't want to go changing, like if I would have beat this in a 1/16 of an inch, then it would have created stress as this door would swing because the pins would no longer be in the same plane. This would be in a different plane, and while it might have been fine with the door closed, if you go ahead and you swing it through its arc, it could have put the top and the bottom hinge in stress. So, you know, while I would have achieved the alignment initially, it could have created a stress problem down the road. So went ahead and threw another shim in, bringing it out just a little bit more than the others. And my door swings really good. There's no resistance within the swing that I can feel. I believe I'm good to go. I'll move on and do the same sort of thing to the passenger side, and I'll be done with the hinge project.
So here's something I'd like to bring up for the crowd. If you haven't got you something that you can push around your project or push around your shop, you know, to kind of help you out and stay organized, you may want to look for something like this. It's a secretary's cart. Back in the day, you know, you'd have typewriter sitting on it. It would kind of roll around the office and whatever, and you can actually use the wheel function for utility casters on the bottom, or you can drop that pedal or flip that pedal up, and it'll actually sit on the bottom of these castings, and it won't slide around. But like right now, I've pretty much wrapped up what I wanted to do on this side of the car, and I'm just going to grab all my stuff and kind of roll it on over to the other side. Now you could achieve this, you know, with many different items that they have on the market, you know, but this is kind of a handy little dude. It breaks down. As you can see, this wing right here drops down, and right here I just got a Coke cart, which keeps my air tools from rolling off of the table and getting all busted up. So thought it might be a good item to emphasize, give you something else to look for in your garage hound searching. Okay, brother, this is like the third shot here. Happy 50th. Ugh. Smooth.